Turn through the pages of any American history book and you're sure to see Richmond appear again and again. Through century after century and war after war, the capital city of Virginia has served as a stage for many a historical event, many of them tragic. So it's no surprise that many stories from Richmond's history are believed to still be playing out today if you know where to look. Visit the right places and you might just catch a glimpse of Richmond's past for yourself. If you're looking for entertainment while in Richmond, it's tough to beat catching a movie at the Byrd Theater. Located in one of Richmond's most charming neighborhoods, Carytown, the Byrd Theater first opened its doors to moviegoers in 1928. Its opulent architecture, extensive gold molding, red velvet curtains, oil paintings, Wurlitzer organ, and glittering chandeliers make going to the movies an otherworldly experience. And today, it still does. The theater is just as glamorous as it was in 1928. Maybe that's why some of its patrons and employees from long ago have reportedly chosen not to leave. The theater's first ever manager, Robert Coulter, is believed by many to still be overseeing the theater that he managed for more than 40 years. Presumably, he's pleased by the fact that the theater is still operating and virtually unchanged from when he took the helm in 1928. Those who see Robert typically report spotting him in the balcony seats where, on occasion, he watches and even applauds movies only to vanish faster than witnesses can blink. Not all of the ghosts at the Byrd Theater have names, though. Some of those cited are anonymous, as if merely stopping in to enjoy a film like their living counterparts. Others, such as a ghost believed to be of a young girl, seem to have made the theater their home, although no one knows how or why they came to be there. Witnesses have reported seeing the girl in the women's restroom or hearing her laughter echo throughout the theater. For those in the mood for dinner and a movie, there are haunted restaurants, plural, in Richmond. One of the best is Patrick Henry's Pub and Grill. It's located within a 4-story house that was built pre-Civil War in 1850. In its nearly 2 centuries of existence, it's experienced several incarnations, including years spent as a brothel and later as a speakeasy. Unsurprisingly, it's considered to be incredibly haunted. So don't be surprised if you encounter doors opening on their own or objects moving. There may be more patrons present than you're able to see. The Patrick Henry Pub and Grill is open 365 days a year, so any day you visit Richmond is a good day to stop by for a meal. If you're looking for ghostly travel tips, chances are you wouldn't mind a visit to the Edgar Allan Poe Museum. If you're heading to Richmond, good news, the Poe Museum awaits you there. Not only is it full of all kinds of relics from his life, such as the engagement ring he gave to a fiancée, original manuscripts, and even a soup ladle that he kept in his kitchen, the museum itself is located inside one of the oldest houses in Richmond. Built in 1754, that house, the Old Stone House, is the only colonial residence still standing in Richmond, a city where most structures were destroyed during the Civil War. For centuries, the Old Stone House functioned as a residence, and many say that some of the residents never left. The spirits of 2 young boys are believed to haunt the property, where they pass time pranking guests, playing with the museum cats, and even allegedly sneaking into the occasional photo. So if you catch a fleeting glimpse of a blonde-haired boy or two at the museum, or find an extra child in one of your photos after your visit, don't be surprised. Of course, there are also those who claim that Edgar Allan Poe himself is known to pay the occasional visit to the museum dedicated to his life and works. And why wouldn't he? One of the museum's founders is also believed to possibly be haunting the property, so spiritually speaking, the Poe Museum is allegedly a very full house. Fortunately, there's still room for visitors. After a visit to the Poe Museum, you may want to take a 5-minute stroll over to Rosie Connolly's Pub and Restaurant. This authentic Irish pub is highly rated, family-owned, and, of course, haunted. The place where it stands was once a busy red light district full of brothels and bars. Reportedly, the staff have encountered multiple full-bodied apparitions wearing historical garb over the years. So if there's a place in Richmond where you stand a chance to see a good old-fashioned ghost plain as day, this is probably it. Of course, ghost sightings or not, spirits of the liquid sort are always flowing at Rosie Connolly's, and the Irish comfort food can't be beat. It's worth noting that in between Rosie Connolly's and the Poe Museum lies another infamously haunted building, the Masons' Hall. Built in 1785, not only is it one of the oldest buildings in Richmond, it's the oldest continuously operating Masonic temple in the United States. While many of Richmond's buildings were burnt during the Civil War, this one was spared. Over the centuries, in addition to serving as a meeting place for Freemasons, it served many other different purposes for its community. At times, it operated as a community center, a schoolhouse, and even a courthouse. During the War of 1812, it even served as a hospital for wounded soldiers. Unsurprisingly, it's considered to be a thoroughly haunted place. So if you stroll by and pause to admire this historic building and see strange lights or someone peering back through a window, it may not necessarily be a living soul. No visit to Richmond would be complete without time spent in Hollywood Cemetery. The cemetery spans 135 garden-like acres overlooking the James River. Although it's a final resting place for many dead Virginians, its beauty also attracts the living. Stroll or drive through and you'll see other visitors walking, jogging, or simply recharging in the thoughtfully designed garden oasis. And within that oasis, there are 3 particularly haunted monuments worth a visit. The first is the Iron Dog, which is exactly what it sounds like, a cast iron statue of a dog, a Newfoundland to be exact. The Iron Dog stands over the grave of a toddler named Florence, who died in 1862, keeping eternal watch. It's believed that the statue was placed by Florence's grave both because she had loved playing on it in life and to prevent it from being melted down to make ammunition during the Civil War. Its role as a grave monument made it sacred and spared it from becoming a bullet or cannonball. The Iron Dog seems to be grateful because they say that at night it can be heard barking, deterring trespassers. During the day, it stands as a beloved tribute not only to Florence, but to man's best friend. On a less heartwarming note, Hollywood Cemetery is also home to the famed tomb of the Richmond vampire. The creature is said to dwell in the mausoleum of W. W. Poole, a Richmonder who died in his 80s in the year 1913. According to some versions of the urban legend, Mr. Poole may have been the vampire, occasionally emerging from his tomb to seek out victims. Some believe that the original vampire sighting, which allegedly involved witnesses seeing a very bloody humanoid creature sprinting into the safety of the mausoleum, was actually a sighting of a horrifically injured man who'd been injured in the 1925 collapse of the Church Hill Railroad Tunnel. They believe they may have seen him running away from the site of the disaster, and that this could explain why the vampire had been covered in blood and had had flesh hanging from his body. However, the tunnel collapse occurred nearly 3 miles from the cemetery. So how and why the terribly injured worker might have made his way to the cemetery isn't clear. One thing's for sure, though, a century later, the idea of the Richmond vampire still haunts the public imagination. While the Richmond vampire legend may be ambiguous in origin, there's another haunted monument in Hollywood Cemetery whose history can be easily fact-checked. In fact, its history is detailed in every American history textbook. During the Civil War, Richmond was the capital of the Confederacy. For that reason, tens of thousands of fallen Confederate soldiers were transported back to Richmond to be buried after dying in battle. Approximately 18,000 of them are interred at Hollywood Cemetery. Standing sentry over their resting place is an enormous monument, a towering pyramid built from thousands of stones. The story of its construction is dark. Local officials used inmate labor for the dangerous job. There were many accidents, injuries, and even rumors that one inmate may have died on the job and that his death may have been covered up. Some say that that inmate can sometimes be heard moaning in pain, reliving his death. And of course, with 18,000 Confederate soldiers buried in the monument's immediate vicinity, tales of soldiers haunting the graves abound too. So if you walk into a cold spot or find yourself surrounded by a sudden chill, look around. You might just be able to see the source. If you'd like to see this beautiful burial ground for yourself, check out our October video tour of Hollywood Cemetery. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more haunted visitors guides to even more of the most haunted cities in Virginia and beyond.